What's up, folks? Tito here. So, Comic Con Talk, Dallas Comic Show, February 11th and 12th. This past weekend, had a little bit of time to decompress, relax my feetsies, eat. Who do we have there? We had Mark Brooks, Phil Jimenez, Adam Hughes, Neil Adams, Laura Martin, Cullen Hamner, Howard Chaykin, Brandon Peterson, Philip Moy, I think Justin Moore. I mean, it was a comic con, super cool. Yeah, there were celebrities there who John Wesley Shipp, some of the Power Rangers, Supergirl was there, Vader. Was it Bam Bam? Not Bam Bam Bigelow. The old WWF guy. He was there. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was there. Yeah, so I just want to talk about it a little bit, and from my perspective, what I thought about the show. And let me add a footnote in there. As an attendee, I had very minimal show interactions because I was doing a lot of volunteering. And to be quite honest with you, that wasn't anticipated for me. I anticipated a little bit more time for the attendee enjoying the show. And while, don't get me wrong, the volunteer portion, I absolutely enjoyed it. But before we get to that, let's do a prelude. I got off on Friday at 10 o'clock at night. Went to bed, woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Left at about 4:30 and got there about 8:45 to about 8:50. Orientation at 9. Job assignments, personnel assignments was handed out. And bam, you're in the show. I think that was probably the most uninterrupted time that I had to enjoy the show. It was before the show even started. I was able to walk up and down the aisles to see what was going on, who had what. And that was it. Any other time, it was pretty much a Superman, Clark Kent type deal where I would wear the volunteer shirt and then boom, break happens. I'm taking off my shirt, putting on my regular shirt, and doing as much hunting as I can, and then going back and forth. Okay? So assignments, right? I think it was a happy accident, and I'm really happy that that accident did happen because I happened to work with Phil Jimenez and Adam Hughes. Happy accident. So typically with those those kind of names being dropped, you anticipate a rush. You anticipate a long lines. You anticipate aggressive attendees, and that's the kind of mindset that you have to understand when you go and become these volunteers. Is you got to be very open. You got to be very fluid. A con is a living entity in itself, where you might be working Celebrity Row, 1 minute, bam, Artist Alley is getting hit pretty hard, and while you were just sitting there with a celebrity or standing with nothing going on, now you're getting into a crowd of like 30 to 40 to 50 people and trying to manage a line and answering questions. Let's talk about that. As a volunteer, you kind of have to understand or be very knowledgeable of what's going on in your particular area. What I do is I go and introduce myself to the artist, let them know who I am. They won't remember you, but if they do, they do. And you kind of have a feel for them. You kind of talk to them. and ask them if there's anything special that they do or special instructions they have, and then you kind of implement those. And that's exactly what we did. The lines for Adam Hughes and Phil Jimenez was a little bit more than I initially anticipated, so we had to shift fire and adjust some things, especially with the lines. Especially, you're dealing with fire hazards, blocking the walkways, so we had to reorganize the lines for that. And that was a quick fix, probably not as quick as most people wanted it, but it was as quick as we can come up with and to execute it. Because nobody wants to move 30 people one way only to find out that didn't work out too well. To move on 30 people that way, you just probably lost your credibility in a whole lot of people. So yeah, we did have to shift fire in that early morning. It's just how the cons is. While keeping an open mind, you also have to understand, as a volunteer, you're on your feet all day. Whether it's 4 hours to 12 hours, you're on your feet. And luckily for us, we had a strong volunteer team. The coordinators, they've been doing this for a while, so they understand that Tito needs a break. His feet is hurting. He's been standing for 5 hours. He's probably hungry. He probably needs to go to the bathroom. He probably just wants to relax. And they had that understanding. So a rotation of, the breaks was on point. A little bit of confusion in the beginning, but as to anything that is this big in magnitude, communications was lost. But you know what? Stuff happens. Regroup, and we'll attack it. True Lies moment. I'm sure everybody had a True Lies moment, and I call a True Lies moment is for those who've seen the movie True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was inside the convertible with that salesman who was acting as if he was a black ops or CIA or whatever he was, and the guy was talking, making stories or whatnot, and Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of looked at him and just punched him. But it was all just a vision, because he really didn't punch him, but that's what he wanted to do. I had a couple of those. I'm not going to lie. Some attendees can be very aggressive and don't like to listen. So you have to put on a different hat. You go from a happy person and say, hey, whatnot, to a verbal judo master and a psychological warfare planner. Because some folks, they become a little bit rude, forceful, and it's all about them. And I get it. I promise you, I get it. They're there, they're meeting their favorite artist, and they just can't contain themselves. But what I want people to realize is there's 30, 40 people behind you, all right, that want to meet this person. Be courteous, man. If you have 40 freaking books that want to be signed, take out 10 and get in the back of the line. It's really not that hard. You got 10 books signed. Geez, there's people there that only want one book signed, and they're behind somebody who has 20 books. All right? Just be courteous of other people. A moment of clarity that made everything negative that could possibly happen leave just like that. I will name drop Phil Jimenez. First of all, this dude's a machine. Dude's a machine. If you have never had the opportunity to meet Phil Jimenez, Mr. Jimenez, I would highly, highly encourage you. And excuse me. Do you remember when I said there's two types of artists that go to cons? It's your fan-based artist who loves interacting with the fans, and then you got the commission artist who they're there just to make the money. All right. Then you have Phil, Mr. Jimenez. And I've never dealt with an artist like him. Never. Because typically when they do their sketches, they kind of want to be left alone. You know, concentrate, focus. But Mr. Jimenez is a completely opposite beast. He gets his vibe. He gets his feng shui, his oomph by interacting with the people when he sketches. And I've never dealt with it. That honestly shocked me because I was not prepared for that. I was prepared to, in my head, all right, Mr. Jimenez is working, you know, let's slow down the conversations. Let's, you know, interaction so he can get his stuff done. No, he's not like that. And what he said was he gets in the zone when he interacts with people while he's sketching. And I found that like super cool. Super cool. And for those that were able to get a sketch would attest that that's how he was, you know. He interacted when he was sketching. He'll ask, why do you like this person? You know, why, you know, and it just a conversation while he's sketching. I'm thinking to myself, it's like, wow. And then a 6-year-old girl showed up. Moment of clarity. Why I volunteer. She walked up, and I think Phil literally just got done doing a sketch. And Phil kind of looks down and says, well, hello. How are you? And the little girl says, I am doing fine. And I think that kind of threw, you know, Mr. Jimenez back a little bit. Like, there's a little girl right in front of me. What do I do? But then he adapted. He overcame, and he just like entertained this girl. And this conversation, I would say, lasted a good 20 to 30 minutes. And I was looking around. I was like, where is the photographer? This is like one of those moments like that needs to be pictured because it was just unreal. It's really hard to explain, and it was just so awesome to see a little 6-year-old girl talking to, you know, this famous artist, and this famous artist turning around and just conversing, talking about Wonder Woman. You know, it was you had to have been there to see this interaction happen, because after that, I honestly had, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. It was just such a cool moment, you know. I go there because I volunteer because I want a show to succeed. And how does a show succeed? That you are able to control. All right. All right. If you're working in artist alley, then obviously you want the artist to be taken care of, to make sure that everything that they need is there. as a fan, you know, you want to be there for the fan to make sure that their experiences are good, or, you know, they have everything that they need, and kind of balance it out. Because let's be real, if the artist doesn't like it, if the fans don't like it, they won't come back, and then there goes a Comic-Con. So in my head, I am that facilitator that wants to make sure that the artists are taken care of and the fans are taken care of. And that's what I think a volunteer does. The volunteers are pretty much the backbone of a con. Because without us, it'll be kind of hard to manage a con. And I think we did pretty well. Our team leads gave us the time that we needed, the breaks that we wanted, and that's it. Now, as an attendee, I will speak very, very minimal, because again, my time was limited. As an attendee, I absolutely loved it. I honestly did. There were crowds, but the crowd was manageable. You know, I was able to get, you know, my big book signed, some books signed in the, you know, the limited time that I had. I was able to see some of the vendors that I know and see what they have. So in the perspective of fan, I absolutely loved it. Now, as a fan, I will say this, as a fan, and you want to go see Adam Hughes. All right, Adam Hughes has a Facebook page that is ran by his wife, Allison Sohn, right? Go to his Facebook page, like his page, and get the updates. Okay, a lot of people didn't know that he was doing commissions. The problem is that he wasn't doing them on the spot. Those commissions were announced 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, 2 weeks ago. And it was a lottery type deal. So, yeah. If you have artists and you know they're big name artists, then I would highly recommend you do some research. Just educate yourself so you have a better chance of getting what you want. A fan, right? Both of my, you know, my guys and James O'Barr. James O'Barr, I waited over 20 years to meet this guy. 20 years. I just never really had the opportunity, whether it was location or whether he had canceled. But that was like, there was one guy that I really wanted to meet, and I actually, you know, got to meet him, took a picture with him, and it was super cool. All right, sorry. All right, Phil Jimenez gave out tickets for the first whatever number, because it's all fluid. It's what he think he can do throughout the day. He gave out numbers, and if you were lucky enough, you got a sketch from him. Adam Hughes, he did on-site sketches. There were line drawings. Allison was coloring in those line drawings. Affordable, super affordable. And anybody who disagrees with me to have those prices on a Phil and Adam sketch, I thought I was cheap. You are super cheap. Sorry. but educate yourself. Look at the times. You know, I tell you what, there was folks, I'm going to just throw out some times. I'm going to make up some times. All right, let's say Adam Hughes had a time block from 9 to 10:30 of signatures, and then from 10:30 to 12 o'clock sketches, right? At 9:30, there was already people on the line for that sketches, right? For that block. Now, do you honestly believe that 200 people will get a sketch in an hour and a half block? No. There has to be a cutoff point. And if you think about it, you know, depending on the kind of sketches that he does, you kind of have to do some math, all right? So if he does a sketch from between 3 to 5 minutes, he has an hour and a half. You know, how many people do you honestly think he can fit in? 30 to 35, all right? You know, just educate yourself. Prices there were super affordable. Tickets to get in was like, for the artist that was there, oh my God, like for real. You couldn't beat it. Couldn't beat it. But that's all I got. That's all I got. I know the sketches, the feedback that I was getting from the people that was there and was there as attendee, the sketches were super affordable. That the names behind the sketches came from. It's unfortunate. It's just that's the rule of the game. I mean, if you want a sketch by somebody famous, you just have to be there early. That's just it. If you're not there early, then you are almost guaranteed that you're not going to get one. The con opens up at 9, and you show up at 1 o'clock expecting a sketch, and then yelling at a volunteer saying, you know, I want a sketch. Brother, there's nothing we can do for you. Honestly, there's not. There's timelines that need to be met. There's breaks that need to be met. But as attendee, I thought I got what I wanted with the limited time I got. So what it all boils down to is, in retrospect, will I do it again? Would I sacrifice a whole weekend, money associated with that con, you know, the gas, the hotel fees, the food, you know, the lack of sleep? Would I do it again? Absolutely. And I surely hope it comes back. Don't know. I'm nowhere near a management spot. I'm hoping that their numbers was in the green, where they're able to, you know, do it again next year. Because as a volunteer, everything that I expected was there and met and exceeded. As an attendee, with the limited time I got, it was the expectations was met, and it exceeded it. So yes, I would definitely do it all over again if I had the chance. God, you know, Phil and Adam, man, they are beast, like legit beast. Oh, talking about beast, it's something that I've been watching and seeing. If you are a fan, I'm not telling you what to do, but I could guarantee you your interaction will be a lot better Don't go to an artist with, you know, a stack of books and say, hey, Mr. Melendez, can you sign these books for me? Oh, they will. They will. But that's all you get. Interact with them, all right? Talk to them. I was able to talk to Adam Hughes about Batman. You know, I got a Batman, well, not a Batman book, but the, you know, Justice League of America with a Batman cover on it, and we started discussing about Batman. And I talked to him. I was like, you know, I follow your work. I honestly don't remember if you worked on a Batman title, and he actually did. I was not aware of it. He told me what to do and look it up, and I'll talk to him more about, you know, the books and stuff like that on another video. But I just wanted to, you know, share that with folks. Don't just go there to, you know, an artist and say, here, sign this stack of books. They'll do it, and that's probably all you're going to get. And you'll leave and like, man, this dude really did not talk. Well, no, it's not because he didn't really talk. It's because you didn't engage a conversation. The first thing you said was, here, sign my books. And I saw a lot of that. The ones that wanted the book signed, but also talked, you know, that interaction went a lot better. And I'm not saying talk for 30 minutes, because again, you got to be courteous of the people behind you, you know. But take that 3 to 5 minutes and talk. You know, I ain't trying to drop names, but it's not like another person where it's sign books go, sign books go, sign books go, sign books go. There's really not interaction, right? Anyways, a quick review. I gave it 2 big thumbs up. Volunteer perspective and as an attendee with a little bit of time of the Dallas Comic Show. Hopefully it comes back next year. Hopefully I get picked up again. If I don't, it was an honor. It was great working with everybody. You know, my team lead, my coordinators. Yeah, so later. One last thing, man. I wanted to give a shout out to some of the folks that I met there. You know, YouTubers, Facebook. J-Rod Ham 78, man. Nice to meet you, brother. Thanks for stopping me and chit-chatting for a little bit. The limited time that I did have. Spidey fan, you know, quick story about him. He introduced himself, and then like the next thing he said was, man, you're a lot smaller in person. Thanks, brother. Gym time. Some of the Facebook folks, Nerds of Anarchy, man. Hey, you guys came out in full force. Thanks for supporting the show. And hopefully I got many more times of hanging out with y'all. Spidey fan, J-Rod Ham. Hey, Dallas Fan Expo. See y'all there.